Please enjoy this feature presentation of the Crooked River Radio Network. This program is rated for all audiences.
Welcome to the Nanosecond podcast. With your hosts, Erik Nannarone, Nick Goglioni, and Pat Morrow. Interesting topics, intriguing conversation, and entertainment. Erik, Nick, and Pat will be right with you.
Hello and welcome to the Nanosecond podcast. I'm Erik.
And I'm Pat.
Evan.
And tonight, our guest is Noah from Dawg Pound Daily. How are you tonight, Noah?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing pretty well here, actually, for an old man. If I was you guys' age, man, we'd have to talk. You all right there, Evan?
Oh, I just tried sneaking a couple of bites of dinner here before we went on air, so you might see a little something in my teeth.
Stinking dinner. You don't need no stinking dinner.
What?
Anyway.
Overrated?
I'm not allowed to eat. You ain't allowed to eat. But mine's coming about 8:30.
Of course. Yeah.
So, with that, we're gonna talk Browns.
Are we?
Pat, I know you said that you're gonna have to drop off, so I will let you kind of lead this, because I want you, if you have any questions for Noah, to kind of get all the questions.
Well, I'm only going to need about 10 minutes, so
Okay.
it's going to be about 20 till 9 when I have to go. You guys will just have to take it from there for a minute.
Oh yeah.
I'll be back. I'll be back to close the show out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a little detail on what you know, Noah, as far as give us a little bit of your background, what you do with the Browns and all that kind of stuff, where you've written for.
All right. I've written for the past about 5 years about Cleveland sports in general, the Browns since about 2021. And I've kind of covered a little bit of everything, a lot of game day posts right after the game, grading the defense, offense, offseason acquisitions and stuff like that. And I've written for Cleveland Sports Talk, Big Play, and currently Dawg Pound Daily.
That's cool. As far as what do you think as far as the draft? If you were to grade that, what would you grade it? Let's go 1 to 10 maybe.
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, there's nothing like really big because we didn't really need anything. There's no glaring holes on our team. So, I mean, we got some depth pieces that I really like and I think could be some big contributors to the team in the upcoming seasons. But I mean, again, there's no big splashes. Of course, without a first round pick, you're not going to see that. Thankfully, next year we finally will have one again. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, as far as the what you said there, as far as the 7, I think that's about right myself. You're not, if you're drafting over 50. Let's face it, you're not going to get. There's more failures than there are accolades from drafting at that position. So some of these guys you'll never hear from them again, even though they seem to hit the Browns at the right time. But then again, you never know. They could. You've had some late round. You've had late round quarterbacks and everything else that did really well in the league. Wasn't Brady a
6th round? Yes.
Yeah, he was a 6th round.
But that's so rare now that you're probably not going to see that again.
As far as that, what we picked up in the, I think I think what's going to happen, they're going to be nice additions for depth. And I think that's where Burry was headed. I got to tell you, I've been, like I told you off on the, on the pre-show, I've been watching the Browns since 1964. I watched Jim Brown take them to the promised land. I watched the Cardiac Kids. I've watched Brian Sipe throw for 455 yards in one game. And I've also watched some of the worst. Well, like 1 and 31. Well, we won't go there. I just want to be, I'm 70 years old now. I want to see them win. I want to see them get through the second round of the playoffs and get into playing in the Super Bowl and stuff like. This is what I'd really like to see. I've got a pretty good idea they're headed there, but what do you think?
I mean, I would say that in the next couple of years, I really feel like we will see a deep postseason run and definitely a Super Bowl appearance. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC, so it's anybody could make it through. But I mean, so far it's recently just been Patrick Mahomes. What we really need is Deshaun Watson to return to form, which we have all been hoping for, and hasn't quite happened with the injury and then only playing 6 games 2 seasons ago. But if he can return to the Deshaun Watson we traded for, with the pieces we have and the special defense, I absolutely see us winning the next year or two.
I hope you're right. Evan, you look like you're chomping at the bit to get in here.
Oh, a little bit. You just stroked my back there with the talk of the Cardiac Kids. That was the team that introduced me to the Browns. So I don't know how much I could really add to what Pat has already asked about, other than didn't you tell us just a little bit ago that you were rather ambivalent about moving the Browns out of downtown to Brook Park? I just want to make sure that our audience hears about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of talk lately about, the new stadium in Brook Park or the renovation in Cleveland. And I mean, there's benefits for both of them, and there's also the downsides for both of them. I mean, downside for Brook Park, you have to get rid of the Muni lot, and there's no more of that downtown, feel. But plus side for Brook Park is, there's going to be a dome and, a whole new stadium, state of the art, and it would be really nice. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, I'd be happy with either. I mean, I would prefer a dome for the team. I mean, the league it's a passing league now. It's not as much run heavy, even though we do have Nick Chubb, but we don't know how good he's going to be when he returns from injury. So, I mean, I personally would like a dome, but I mean, if we stay in Cleveland, like Cleveland downtown, I would like the stadium there as well. I mean,
the thing with the dome, we've had a couple of people on this particular show that we've talked about this with. If it's going to be a dome, it needs to have a retractable roof on it, so that during the during some of the season, you can retract that thing and actually have an outside game. That's the one thing that I don't think they're planning on. I think they're just going to make it a solid roof, which I think, in my eyes, would be a mistake. When you play on AstroTurf or whatever they're calling it these days, you've got more of a chance of injury. And as far as that's concerned, I would much prefer having an actual grass turf as opposed to whatever they have to put in the dome. Injuries with this team are a big thing. We saw that last year. We went through 5 quarterbacks because of injury, or 4. And we ended up calling somebody off the couch in order to take and do the and play the game because our quarterbacks, our quarterback room got completely depleted. You know, to me, it just makes sense to just have something retractable so you can raise grass and whatever in there, and you know you got a regular football field. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I absolutely think we should have a retractable dome if they do that. I mean, we live in Ohio. I mean, we need to take advantage of the nice weather when we have it. So, I mean, it would be a shame if it was just a solid roof on the place. I mean, a lot of those stadiums, like in Minnesota, they look really nice, but like I think a retractable dome is definitely the way to go.
I went several years ago. I went out to. I had to go to Detroit. I went to where the Chrysler. I can't think something Hills.
Auburn Hills.
Auburn Hills, yeah. They actually had the Silver Dome there. The Silver Dome was still open when I went out there. This has been probably 20 years ago. That was an impressive place. I was out there in the middle of the winter. You could tell that how that dome on that thing worked. Very impressive. And as far as parking like that, they actually had parking almost right up on the doors of the place. You know, the whole area was surrounded by pavement, and it, you know, where I was staying was this place about maybe a mile from it, and all the parking and that pretty much extended out there. You know, as far as moving this thing to Brook Park, with 170 some acres, they're going to have to do something to attract other businesses out there. What comes to mind here is the
Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Pro Football Hall of Fame, and what they're doing down there. That place, every time I go through there, has made tremendous changes. The stadium itself is still not covered, but you know, you don't expect that. As far as the buildings and stuff like that in the area around it, very impressive. And I think that's what Haslam's going to have to do up there. They're going to have to make it a place where it's marketable. You know, you can have gift shops, you can have this and that and the other thing, sales wise, you know, restaurants and stuff like that. There are several football players that have got restaurants that would probably go into something like that. Bubba Baker, for instance, his rib place. Let's get that up there. But in order to move that over there, that's what they're going to have to do with it. And I don't know what they're going to do with the lakefront property.
I mean, I don't know if any of you saw the report last week about the fact that the Muni lot, even if they stay in Cleveland, the Muni lot's going to be gone because that land bridge, the boardwalk that they're building that goes all the way across Cleveland, that's going to take out the Muni lot and West Third lots. So they're not going to have those. So I think it would almost be smart to move now because the Muni lot isn't going to be able to be used. So there's less tailgating. And the price of parking is just going to go up even more. I mean, I don't know what you think about that, Noah.
I mean, I think you're right with that. I mean, like the Muni lot is such a special thing for Browns fans. They love it. I mean, you hear before every game, like, oh, I'm going to the Muni lot, I'm going to go pregame, going to have a great time. And I mean, if they stay like at the lakefront, I mean, that's still gone with the land bridge going there. I mean, the land bridge will be like an absolutely beautiful thing to add, but I mean, like, we know Cleveland fans, they love their traditional stuff they have. And I mean, getting rid of that would be a huge mistake. I mean, hopefully they could do something to where they can at least have a section off to like for that. But I mean, again, if they're getting rid of that, I mean, and all like the area around it to make the land bridge / boardwalk area, I mean, I think Brook Park Dome is probably the better move for the team.
From what I've heard, they're also bringing in the developers that built developed the Minnesota stadium. So that would be interesting if they do a carbon copy of what Minnesota is, because when the Browns went there a couple of years ago, the Haslams really loved it. So from what I've seen, I don't know if you've heard anything along those lines, Noah.
No, I can't say I have heard anything about that, but you know, if that does happen, we do know the Minnesota's dome. It's a beautiful building and place to play. I mean, I would love something like that. We wouldn't have to worry about it, like how good the new stadium will look. We know it would be state of the art and just be a wonderful place to attend games. But I mean, I just think the whole situation, I mean, it kind of sucks because it's like, oh, dome, but you got to leave downtown lakefront Cleveland.
But I mean, they're with Cleveland downtown, they're so landlocked. That's a huge issue unless the Browns decide to build, or not build, but have like a ship transport people through the lake. I don't think that's possible, but you know, they're very landlocked because it's on the lake. Having it in Brook Park would open up a lot. I mean, they would have to build exits for the highway and upgrade the roads around where the stadium would go, but I think that would be worth it. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I feel like that would be worth it. I definitely think that would be worth to do that. I just I don't know, like just going back to like the dome thing. I know they said like they don't want to build a dome on like the Cleveland Stadium, the Cleveland Browns Stadium that we have now on the lakefront. But then like, weren't there recent reports that the Bears potentially are getting a new stadium and that's going to be a lakefront dome?
Yeah.
So is it just like a foundation issue with like the stadium we have, that the renovation would just be too hard?
I can tell you, I can add a little light to that. I followed that stadium building back in the late 90s when they built that thing. And they had talked about dome back then, dome or not the dome and whatever. And supposedly there were things put in the construction of that stadium that were supposed to be pro dome if they ever decided they wanted to add one. I don't know if they, I know that the rumors were there. I don't know that 100% that they ever did that. But if that's the case, I think what's happening here is that the current occupiers are really thinking that they don't really want to be there. And, that stadium is only 25 years old. Come on. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to actually move out of it. That's the pro stadium side of that. On the other side, you're talking dome stadium, you're talking place to expand, you're talking you don't know if you're going to have the fan thing. And there was another thing that popped into my mind while we were talking about this, and that is, would it be far enough away from the lake to get away from the curse?
Hey.
Now,
go ahead.
See, now I don't know if you can ever move the Browns far enough away to get to get away from the curse, but
I mean, might happen. And Modell did it, and he was in a Super Bowl 2 years later.
That's fair.
But it may not take very long. But Yeah, as far as the curse is concerned, I've believed in that ever since I've been watching that team. We've had to been cursed with some of the, when you start considering the fumble and the Red Right 88 and some of the other stuff that's happened to that poor team over the years. We just never seem to be able to catch a break.
I mean, if you want to go with the curse, the whole sports side of Cleveland is cursed.
Well, that's true too.
You got the Guardians too.
But it doesn't go, I'm not sure it leaves the lake. Well, with the Guardians, you've actually had some pretty good luck with that. You just
but you got Jose Mesa against the Braves, and then you got the unlucky rain delay that killed them against the Cubs in the World Series.
That's true too.
Marlins in between too.
Or maybe was Jose Mesa the Marlins or the Braves?
Wasn't that the Marlins?
Yeah. Okay. I messed that up, but yeah.
Well, the Braves were just a little bit better that particular time. They didn't have any bad luck. They just were better.
That was 2 years before. But anyway, going back to the Browns, what do you think the new assistants that they brought in bring to the table versus who they had?
I mean, so we see a lot of overturn in the NFL for like assistants going from team to team and moving up. And I mean, I don't know. I like them as the fact that I haven't looked into them deeply, but I like the fact like that we're continually like expanding, bringing in new ideas to the team. I mean, that's how you get better. You can't stay stagnant with everything. And I mean, Stefanski's a great head coach, and I know a lot of people don't like him as a play caller, and that's fair, but he's still a good offensive mind. And I think bringing in the new assistants to, like I said, bringing in new ideas will, definitely could help us take just another step forward as a team.
You mentioned Stefanski there, and I've got to make a comment. I'd like to make a comment about that. With Kevin, when they brought him in, I thought he had the some of the traits of someone like Tomlin, where they're bringing him in here to actually bring him in to leave him here, to let him build the team, to let him do what he needs to do. The history of the Browns, I mean, look at Tomlin. He's been there. He's been with Pittsburgh for 25 or 26 years. That's unheard of for a coach. And when you do stuff like that, you start building your brand, and you start building the stuff that you want to be in that team for a long time. You start building the legacy. And that's what I think they need to do with the Browns. They've settled on a coach. Let him stay here now, win or lose unless he does something like that idiot for 1-31. That I would have fired him after the first 16. But I won't digress to there. But as far as you want to build the legacy of the team and the coaching too, and if you take and put that together, that's going to be something that's going to last for a long time, and that's what you get when you are the Steelers. They left him together with that team for
17 years,
and he built that team. Belichick's another thing. How long was he up in?
I could look that up. I think he was like 25 years.
Yeah,
because he went there in 97, 98 when after he left Cleveland.
He went there. He replaced Parcells, I think it was.
Yes, you're right.
And with that, you're looking, he built the legacy of the team. He got him to Super Bowls and everything like that. He had a straight season without a loss except for the last one. He lost in the Super Bowl. That's the kind of stuff I'd like to see in Cleveland. They just got to get it built that way. You've got other teams that are on the way up. I mean, look at what Philadelphia did. Philadelphia was a middle of the road team too. But Philadelphia now is I think it's a couple of steps away from the big game.
And they've already won a Super Bowl. They've been there a couple of times and they finally won one, although they didn't do it with their head coach, Andy Reid. They ended up with, of all things, how's this for karma? They ended up with a former Browns quarterback. I'm trying to remember. He's coaching the Jags. Thank you. He was piloting the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. So how's that for karma?
And irony is, who was the defensive coordinator? Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, that would make sense. There's good people around the league. You just got to get them here, and they'll build you. You follow any of the college stuff, Noah?
No. I'll watch Ohio State games now, and then I don't really pay attention too much during the season to like every other team. And then I really start to pay attention during draft and combine season about who the Browns could potentially take and add to the roster. And then, I mean, that's about it. I don't dive too much into that.
I started watching when Urban Meyers got the first championship game back. Well, I was working, so it would have been what, middle 90s?
2000
or 2000.
Oh. That was 2012.
When they started doing that, that's when I started watching them. I watched like you do. I watch them for I want to see what players are going to come out of here. I want to see what they're going to end up with. And what Cleveland could end up with eventually.
It's nice that the Browns are actually drafting Ohio State guys, because for years they were allergic to Ohio State.
Well, that's other regimes.
Yeah,
is what did that.
Sure.
But as far as the, I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons I usually watch the college stuff. You just never know. You pick a good one out, even if it's for somebody playing against Ohio State. You pick them out, their name sticks in your head, and when you hear them drafted, you think, well, good for him. At least he's not in college anymore. Welcome to the big leagues.
Yep.
That how much do you, or as far as the Browns go, what's your projection here? I usually ask this pretty much to all the guests we have on. What do you think they're going to do this year as far as wins and losses?
We definitely have a tougher schedule this year than we did last year. I mean, thankfully, all like the really tough teams, like the Chiefs, the Cowboys, who are a great regular season team, the Dolphins, they're home games. So I really like that. I think we got that in our favor with like the away games being the worst teams. So I mean, we were great at home last year, and our defense was light years ahead of everybody when we played at home. So I think that's going to benefit us a lot. So I think I'm going to put us around probably the 11, 12 wins. I would say our ceiling's probably 13 and then our floor 9. But yeah, 11, 12 wins.
I like you. That's exactly what I've been predicting. I think that I'd like to see 11 because unless it's I don't like the idea that they give up that last game like they did with Cincinnati this last year. They should leave the damn players in. You know, your chances of getting hurt in that are probably as much as coming back and getting hurt. So I thought, you know, I wanted 12 wins out of this team this last year, and they kind of disappointed me by not doing that the last game. They could have won that game against Cincinnati because we own them, and we've owned them for a long time now. But I'm kind of curious to see what happens when Burrow and associates come back, and some of the other injured quarterbacks that have come back through coming off of injury. Burrow's been out, twice now in the time he's been with Cincinnati. And I'm not sure I'm afraid he's going to get gun shy. You know, it's it seems like when they get hurt like that, I'm almost a little afraid of that with Chubb too. I want him to be a straightforward runner, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. When you get hurt like that for a second or third time, you start reevaluating your life.
If I can add in real quick, so correct me if I'm wrong, but are the Bengals, they're getting a new turf field, correct?
I think so, yes.
So see, as soon as I heard that like confused me because, you know, your star QB that you've paid all that money, who's had a history with lower, you know, leg injuries, it's like you're going to put him on the one thing you should not put him on at all. And that really confused me. So I think I can agree with you that he could be a little gun shy. I mean, we kind of saw that when he was playing last year injured. Like, he just was not the same player at all.
Well, the first game last year, I actually, when that game was over, I actually felt sorry for him because of the fact that every time he looked up, Myles Garrett was there. Now, I love Myles Garrett. That's the best player in the league by far. And the way he jumps around and the way he goes after the quarterback, you just got to feel sorry for anybody that's anywhere coming close to that dude, let alone your quarterback, and especially if you're like Cincinnati, you don't have the people to protect him. Which is, to me, I don't know what the hell their drafting's about or whatever. You think they'd get him more protection than what they got him? What do you think about that one?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think, so the Bengals, they're already having like kind of a nightmare situation with the players they have. I mean, was it Trey Hendrickson requested a trade last week or 2 weeks ago, along with T. Higgins? And then, yeah, they just still give up a lot of sacks. I mean, they've got Orlando Brown, who's good, but still quite isn't able to stop Myles Garrett, as we saw. And I mean, they can't really keep Burrow off his back like enough to, you know, make a strong push like they did a couple of years ago. So, I mean, yeah, I just think, yeah, as a Cleveland fan, I'm happy they don't have great protection for him, but
yeah, so we own him.
It does surprise me that it's, again, you paid this guy all this money and then it seems like, well, you got him the weapons, but then you don't get him the protection and you're putting him on turf, and it's like you wanted to succeed, but you're like 50-50 on giving him what he needs.
And that's, you got to wonder where that's coming from. Is it coming from ownership, or is it coming from the coaching staff or your general manager, who in turn is probably connected to the owner ownership. Anyway? I'm also curious to see what New England's going to do this year. First year without Bill.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they're going to do with him? Or with them? You think they...
I mean, I don't see the Patriots doing much of anything again this season. I know they got their new rookie QB, but I mean, Bill Belichick's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Say it was because of Tom Brady or not. I mean, I still think he was one of the greatest coaches ever. I don't see them doing much at all. I mean, they don't have a lot of weapons. They have a young QB who's probably going to get thrusted in there too soon. And it's just, I feel like it's just going to be kind of what we've seen, like basically from one team at least every year. It's just the QB, he's talented, but he's not good enough to get it done with nothing around him.
Yeah, that was the trouble with Matt Hentz or whatever that quarterback was up there. That was the trouble with him.
Max Jones.
Or Max Jones, yeah. They didn't really give him enough to do anything with. And Belichick, I can coach anything. And next thing you know...
He also had a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach. As the co-offensive coordinators, his second year of his career. So that stunted his growth.
And then on top of that, let's the other one I have to ask you about, Noah. What's Pittsburgh going to do this year?
So, I mean, Pittsburgh, it's really up in the air for me right now. I mean, until we see what they can actually do. I mean, TJ Watt's a great player. I think their defense is going to be good. It always is. And at least it's going to be top 15. We know that. It's really what their offense is going to do. And I mean, yes, they got Russell Wilson, but I don't really think that's going to work out that well. I mean, as soon as the Seahawks traded him away to the Broncos, everybody's like, "Oh, the Broncos are going to be good. They had Russell Wilson." Oh, he flopped. And
I've never been that impressed with him. I followed him for quite a while through his time in the league. He's one of those where he's good, but I don't know if he's got it.
Yeah, I mean, he's put up great numbers in his career, and I mean, he can't really use his legs as much anymore because he's getting up there. But yeah, I'm not scared of Russell Wilson. I mean, I know he beat us last year, but we had DTR at QB in his second NFL start ever. And I mean, what I don't like though is they got Justin Fields for really cheap. And I still think Justin Fields can be a great player in this league. And it really sucked when they traded for him. And
the one that I think was probably the best one that's ever came out of, or one of the best that's ever came out of Ohio State was Stroud, and him going down there to Texas. That Texas team when he was hurt was not the same team as it was when he was playing. I mean, he proved that again. He proved that against the Browns. He went in there and just ripped us apart. And Cleveland never knew what hit us. We were licking our wounds for 2 weeks. As far as that's concerned, it just takes, and you have to wonder. The problem I saw with Fields was the fact that he went to Chicago, and Chicago has a real reputation for ruining quarterbacks. They ruined the one before him, the kid from Trubinsky. I watched him play in. He played for, I think it was Lake Catholic, or Mentor. I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was Mentor.
But I watched him play. I would watch the. He had a lot of headlines on the sports, and Fields following him like that I don't know how much of a quarterback coaching change they had there, but it seems like they ruined him too. And then all of a sudden these guys become waste, and the next thing you know, they're either in Pittsburgh or somewhere like that, sitting third string on the bench. We could go probably do a whole show on quarterbacks that have been ruined through the, through managerial mistakes and coaching mistakes. I can think tons of them.
Well,
Baker Mayfield.
Them were with the Browns.
Baker Mayfield, and it's not necessarily the Browns, Eric. There are certain places where if you get drafted there, your chances of surviving are almost slim and none. Look at what happened to Baker. If he was still here, he would have been toast. Yeah, you
got Baker, you got Tim Couch, you got Brady Quinn. That's just 3 of the many since '99 that have been. Well, I mean, Baker didn't flame out, quote unquote, but he had other issues.
Yeah, he might as well have. Good old Johnny Manziel. He's playing. Well, he's playing in the XFL. Last I heard.
I don't even think. Yeah, no, he's making documentaries now.
Well, good for him.
Speaking of Netflix, because that's where his documentary was, did anybody watch or see any clips from the Tom Brady roast last night that was live on Netflix?
No, I didn't see it. I got to beg out of here for a couple of seconds. I heard about that. I'll be back in here in a couple of minutes. Just hang loose. You guys go ahead and talk.
Okay. Of course, like always, I have a question and then it just runs away from me. Evan?
Okay. Well, let me see if I can come up with a new angle here. I've already talked about the stadium, and we've had talks about the different places and how they've approached their stadiums. But I'm not going to worry about that. Let me think about another angle here. As far as our offense, are we going to be able to hang with our opponents? This was one of the things that always concerned me whenever we faced the Kansas City Chiefs previous. We already know about Patrick Mahomes, and we've seen, the kind of team that they have there. I mean, Travis Kelce he's just a Hall of Famer in waiting. Can we hang? Noah, do you think with the offense that we have right now, can we hang with teams like the Cowboys and the Chiefs and just pick a team that's on the right? Well, the Dolphins. The Dolphins. We're going to be facing all of them at home, as you just said. Can we actually hang with any of these teams, you think?
I mean, I feel like yes, but also no. I mean, those are the best offenses in the league. And we really hit our stride at the end of the season with Joe Flacco last year, but we don't know if that's going to carry over to this year. We don't know how well Deshaun Watson's going to play again. I mean, he, broke his shoulder. That's a hard thing to come back from. I know he's throwing at full speed and stuff, but I mean, going back to the question Erik asked me earlier about the new assistants we brought in. So we have our new offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. He's been an offensive coordinator for the Bills last couple of years, and the past 2 seasons they were a top 5 offense. So I really like that, and so I definitely think Amari Cooper is one of the best. I would place him as a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Elijah Moore is a really skilled receiver. I love Jerry Jeudy that we traded for him. I think he has a really high ceiling. And David Njoku, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end. I think we definitely saw that last year as he emerged into stardom. But it just comes down to, I think, our run game, which we don't know how good it's going to be with Nick Chubb returning from injury. We hope he's the same Nick Chubb of old. If he is, amazing. We don't have to worry about the run game because our line's going to be just as good. It just comes down to Deshaun Watson's play. And I know we all sound like a broken record the last 2 years now. Is Deshaun going to be himself again? He's going to return to Texans for him. Pro Bowl Deshaun. we need that. If he's can be a Pro Bowl QB, I would just say honestly, 30 touchdowns and limit the interceptions to under 10, we can definitely hang with almost any team, especially just because our defense is top tier, and the only team that really comes close to us in defense, and then if we can become a great offensive team, would be the Chiefs, because they had a top 5 defense last year, and you just can't count out Patrick Mahomes.
What do you think they're going to do with this offensive line after this year? Because you got 2 of the highest paid guards. They're not going to keep both unless one or both restructure. So do you think Zinner will be our new I would say left guard, because I could see Batonio retiring. But what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I was looking at Zach Zinter the past couple of weeks after we drafted him. I love that pick. He's a 6'6", 310-pound guard. He's really good. I think with our offensive line coach and then our veterans that he's been playing with, he could definitely succeed in the NFL. And I think he could be a piece in our offensive line for years to come. Now, when it comes to what we're going to do with our Wyatt Teller and Joe Batonio, I mean, I definitely think we can see restructures. I mean, there's you see it so often that it's like, oh, they just converted $7 million into signing bonus, and then they make all this cap space. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see Joe Batonio for a year or two, and then we see Zach Zinter sit behind him for the next couple seasons, and then Joel eventually retires. Because even though he's still, I would say, top 2, top 3 offensive guard, at least left guard in the league, perennial Pro Bowler, All Pro guard, he there is a limit on how long he can play, and he's been getting injured and roughed up the last couple years now. So yeah, I definitely think we'll probably see Zach Zinter sit behind him for a little bit, and then he'll eventually take over, because he'll probably keep Wyatt Teller since he is the younger.
Okay. What do you think Tommy Rees brings to the table as a coach?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
What do you think Tommy Rees, the new tight ends coach, I believe, what do you think he brings to the table? Well, no, never mind. So he's he's this pass game specialist and tight ends coach. What do you think he brings to the table?
I mean, eventually, like kind of what I said earlier in the show, it's just those new ideas. We have, like I said, we have Kevin Stefanski, great offensive mind. Ken Dorsey, has been an offensive coordinator for a top 5 offense the past couple of years. So I think it's just, you hear Stefanski say it all the time. It's they want to bring in new ideas and try out new things and see what works. And I mean, so offensively in pass game, I think it's huge, because we really do need to evolve our pass game. I mean, for so many years with Baker, it was like, how is the play action going to work? And if play action didn't work, then it was kind of just halted. And then last year with Joe Flacco, it was good. And, it's been 50-50 with Watson against bad teams. It's been good against good teams. You haven't really seen it. So pass game wise, I think it could be, you're fine. Pass game wise, it can be really good. And as a tight end coach, I really don't know. Those coaches, you don't really see how much they add to a player. I mean, David Njoku is a great player, as I said already, but how much is he able to unlock more from him? Like, is he gonna have to wait and see?
That's actually a good point. I never even thought about it that way. But do you think some of the reason they let Van Pelt go was because of age, and they wanted somebody who can relate to players a little more?
I mean, I don't really think it was because of age at all. It definitely could be like relate to players more. I just think we know what Alex Van Pelt could do and what he couldn't do, and I just think they wanted to kind of have a new fresh start with the offense and not just be, so run heavy and then play action pass. And then I I think they just want a whole fresh start in like the offensive game.
Do you see Stefanski ever passing off the play calling, or maybe not fully giving it up, but maybe giving some of the play calling duties over to Ken Dorsey?
I definitely think that is a possibility. I mean, in the last year's preseason, didn't he? I think it was Van Pelt. He let him call some of the plays for the most part in the preseason, but not really. You didn't see that in the regular season. Now I know there's people have talked about they don't want Stefanski calling plays, and some do. I definitely think I don't see him giving up full play calling responsibilities, but I definitely do see sharing them with Ken Dorsey, or at least definitely taking what Ken Dorsey has to say.
What do you think of the Mike Vrabel hiring, and kind of what do you think he's doing with this team?
That hiring really shocked me, because Mike Vrabel, he's a great coach, and to see him not get a head coaching job it's insane to me, because I think he's probably one of the top 10 coaches. I mean, he won Coach of the Year 3 years ago now, 4, and to see him not get hired, it just shocked me. But to see him on our team, I like it. It's all about bringing more to the table and adding new things to elevate your team and take the next step and try to get over that hump. So, I mean, I think he can add a lot to both defense, the defensive side of the ball, and offensive maybe. And I mean, he probably won't be here for a long time. We'll probably see him. We'll see him this season and then maybe next season. But after that, he'll probably be gone and, be the head coach of a team like he deserves to be.
Maybe even Ohio State.
Isn't he a consultant? He's not really a position coach.
Yeah. He's just the team consultant or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, Ohio State, I do think if Ryan Day just can't beat Michigan, or if they just don't win a championship, I definitely see Mike Vrabel as the Ohio State head coach.
Wow, interesting. Evan, anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna roll off of what you just said there, Eric. I'd be interested to see what happens if Ryan Day can't break through this year, especially against Michigan. But since the playoff, this is the year that the playoff expands, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if Ryan Day doesn't win the team up north game, I think he's done. I don't care what the rest of the season is.
We were just talking about Mike Vrabel, and since he's a consultant with the Browns, if Day flames out, maybe Mike Vrabel.
I think that would probably be what happens, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's what should have happened this offseason. But I digress.
You digressing again? What's up with you, boy?
Well, many things.
Your digressions are worse than your transgressions.
Yeah, well. Anyway.
Sound like Foghorn Leghorn there. I say
Yes.
Your digressions are worse than your transgressions.
Oh, gee.
Always a little humor.
Oh, yeah. Better than sound effects.
Oh, you want the one? We can do them. But I think we had enough of that last night.
Yes, we did. Anyway, with
You keep using language like that, and you're going to find yourself out of a job.
Just one. I'll leave you alone now.
Okay. With that, I think it's time to wrap up.
Is it? Dang.
Yeah,
It's been almost an hour. How about that?
I know.
You guys have talked my ear off for damn near an hour. What do you think, Noah? Gonna come back with us?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely come back if you have me again.
Yeah, well,
And Pat tried to run away, too.
didn't make it though. I ended up having to talk to part of that group I was in Saturday
Oh, yeah.
and let them know what I found out from the race people. So that was cool. Anyway, you want to wrap it up? I guess we can. what, 3 minutes and 3 minutes and 6 seconds away from being an
I
hour.
know.
So.
Anyway, so thank you for joining, Noah.
Oh, you're welcome.
And for anybody listening, we are going on a little hiatus for a week, and we will have a big time weather based show in 2 weeks with a big time guest that I will announce on Sunday if we have a show. So stay tuned.
Yeah, Sunday looks like I should be able to do the show. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But with that,
Anyway,
I will.
with that,
I want to thank you for your patience and everything there, Noah. As far as when we first started there, and as far as me having to bow out for a couple seconds, do appreciate it. And if you want to come back or whenever you want to come back, just let Erik know. The other question I have that I don't know if you covered or not is how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, how do people get a hold of me? You can find me on Twitter at Noah_Lampshire. And I usually tweet out most of my articles and any written work there.
Okay, that's great. I will go ahead and turn it over to Erik to close us up here as soon as I find the right place to be, which is right there.
okay, I was going to say I'll stall time till Pat finds it, but he did.
We got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and have a good week.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Pittsburgh!
All right, we're clear.
Okay. Thank you again, Noah.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Fun. I might actually have to go to your Twitter page. How do you spell your last name again?
LAMPSHIRE.
Okay. Okay, and you said that's Noah_Lampshire on Twitter.
Let me make sure and check. Yes, it's
Yeah, I've had some goof ups here lately where I had to start over.
Now I don't know.
Well, let's find out. Find out.
Let me say it now. I don't know where I'm gonna go in the morning.